Hi everyone. So today I'm joined by Garga Chatterjee from Bangla Pokkho, who is Bangla Pokkho's General Secretary. Thank you, Gorgoda, for joining us. So, Gorgoda, today we are going to talk about the delimitation, and which you have widely talked about in social media, in different newspapers. You wrote different editorials on in Hindu with Salem Dharanidharan, the DMK spokesperson. So, Gorgoda, why do you oppose this delimitation so badly? You have been writing about this for about 2011, when there was no BJP government. There was UPA government. So why do you oppose it?
First of all, let me be clear who I am. I am a Bengali who is a voter of West Bengal. Okay. And that determines a lot about what is my stance on delimitation. And then let's understand what delimitation actually is. So, delimitation is that process by which seats, Lok Sabha seats within the Indian Union is distributed across states according to population. Okay, so let's look at where we are at present, and that will give you an idea what this thing is. So Bangla, which is my state, uh, has 42 seats in the Lok Sabha, and the total number of seats in the Lok Sabha is 543. So the ability of Bangla or MPs of my state's MPs to determine which government will be formed in the center, or which policies will be taken in the center, is basically the ratio between the total number of seats of West Bengal, and the total number of seats in the Lok Sabha. Right now, that ratio is 42 by 543, and which roughly is 7.8%. Okay. So Bengal has a 7.8% value in terms of determining what happens at the center. Okay. So the next question comes: where did this ratio and this 42 and 543, where did these things come from? Okay. So the last delimitation exercise happened in the 70s. A census happened,
21.
and after that, delimitation happened, which means uh, and after delimitation, what happened was that roughly, of course, the number of people, not voters, but people, population in each Lok Sabha constituency was made roughly the same. So if you go by that, then 42 by 543 actually represents the ratio of the population of West Bengal to the population of whole of India at that point of time. Okay.
1971.
Yeah. In the 70s, when the census was taken, it's a staggered process, but you're roughly right. But then comes a problem. Okay. One, in the 70s, as you would remember, India was suffering from a huge population explosion crisis. Okay. We didn't have enough resources, but we had huge population growth levels across many states, in West Bengal also. Okay. We had a total fertility rate of more than 4 almost at that point of time. Bihar was more than 6. It was just an unsustainable situation, which is why the union government of the day came up with the national population policy. And many people might know the famous slogan which was associated with this drive. In Hindi, it was called Hum Do, Hamara Do, which means we are two and we have two, which means that a couple has a aim of producing 2 children and no more. Okay, so that was the uh, union policy, which means a policy for all states. It's not a policy just for Bihar. It's not a policy just for West Bengal. It's not just a policy for Tamil Nadu. It's a policy for every Indian. Okay. And then comes a problem. The problem is that this uh, all India policy, okay, was meticulously followed by certain states, because as uh, the present Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said, that population explosion is like a national curse, okay, and population control is a patriotic act. So certain states took the path of patriotism, if you will, okay, and they started controlling their population by uh, investing in their people, investing in various methods and ways which brought down population growth. Okay. And there was a set of other states which couldn't care less. Okay. Which means that from a similar starting point, two sets of states emerged, one which followed the National Population Control Policy Program, and states which didn't care about what the National Population Control Program was, and they did whatever according to their will. Okay. In Bangla, we have an adage which says "Je khai chini jogan chintamoni," which means that whoever uh, you know, whoever eats sugar, chintamoni would mean God in this case, would supply the same. Or if that sounds too Hindu, then the more, let's say, the Islamic version of it, we also hear this. It's in Hindi, in a sense. Allah ne diya wahi khilayega. You know, so it's a similar it's a similar spirit, which means that the people have no responsibility at all. They can produce children, and God, Bhagavan, Allah will take care of whatever.
Look
Of course,
after
this
them.
doesn't happen in real life. Okay.
Okay.
So that's a problem. So we are now in 2025, and if you look at the national, no census has happened since 2011. And if you now look at the population growth figures, or even better, the total fertility rate figures, okay, then you will see this wide divergence between these two types of states. Now, what is total fertility rate? And that's a construct that requires a little bit of unpacking. Total fertility rate, or TFR, okay, that those are the initials, represents the total number of children a woman would have in her lifetime. That's
Okay.
in a way, it is, since most people who have children uh, have one marriage, be it Hindus, be it Muslims, be it Jains, Sikhs, Christians, be it Bengalis, be it Tamils, be it Biharis, be it Marathis. So we can basically boil it down to the number of children per couple. Okay. Per
Okay.
couple. Yeah. So this number, according to a recent National Family Health Survey, okay, and that's a survey done by the Union government. It's
Okay.
part of the National Sample Survey, NFHS. That's what it's called, and that
Yes, yes.
happens in
Okay.
various waves.
Hmm.
So it turns out West Bengal's TFR is 1.6. Okay, what does that
Okay.
mean? It means that 10 couples 10 couples, husband, wife,
Hmm.
10 couples are producing 16 children. Okay, that's
Okay.
what that's
Okay.
what it means.
Roughly.
If you take a similar number for Bihar, at the point
Hmm.
when West Bengal was 1.6, or 16 children per 10 couples, the number for Bihar in TFR terms was 3.4, which means 10 couples were producing 34 children.
34.
Okay, that's more
Okay.
than double. Now, and this is one sampling. Now, this divergence has happened since the 70s. So, this more than double, double, more than double, this phenomena you see across these states which did not follow the National Population Control Policy.
Okay.
Uh, Now, there's a problem here. The problem is, if you now again, if you now again the total population,
Sorry,
and
sorry.
then
Can you repeat?
apportion
Can you
seats.
repeat? Yeah. Can you
If
repeat
you
once? Yeah.
now again, the delimitation
Hmm.
in now 2026, which
Mm-hmm.
BJP is very excited about, what it would mean is that now you will take this total population, whatever it is now, you know, and then uh, apportion seats or proportion of seats of every state will be according to its proportion to the total population. Now, of
Mm-hmm.
course, if you have controlled your population, your proportion of the total population has come down because there are other states which have not followed the national control population control program, and their proportion in the total population of India has gone up. Okay.
Okay.
So now if you
So
do this
in that.
delimitation,
Mm-hmm. In that
yeah, go
case,
on, please.
the states who control the population will get a punishment for controlling it.
They'll be victimized for following a policy of the union government, which is
Okay. Okay.
ridiculous. And states
Okay.
which
Okay.
have not followed
But
the policy will be rewarded. It's unheard of. Okay.
Amit Shah, our home minister, is telling that no seats will be reduced in the south. The seats will be intact.
Yeah. So that's why it's important that he's talking about numbers, which do not mean much. What is important is proportion, the ratio. Okay. So let me explain the sleight of words game that Amit Shah is playing there. Okay. So let's say right now, 43, which is true, 42 is the number of seats West Bengal has, and 543 is the total number of seats. Okay. Now, if the total number of seats become 1500, let's say, total number of seats in the Lok Sabha, and West Bengal seats become 60 or 70, has West Bengal's number of seats decreased? No, in fact, it has increased.
Mm-hmm.
But has West Bengal's clout in the Lok Sabha decreased? Yes, severely. Because now the effective ratio is 60 by 1500, not 42 by
Okay.
543. So when Amit Shah is saying the number of seats in South India will not decrease, doesn't matter. The question is whether the proportion of seats that South India now contributes to the Lok Sabha, whether that remains intact or not. And there
Okay.
is no
Okay.
chance in hell, if delimitation is instituted, that this will happen. Okay.
Okay.
Of course,
Okay.
it will
Okay.
get decreased. And it's not only South India. Let's remember this. It's also West Bengal. It's also Punjab. It's various states which have followed the National Population Control Program. And
Okay.
let me introduce two more concepts at this point of time. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One is the idea of replacement rate. Okay. According to demographic science, which is a very advanced science at that point of time, it's a
Mm-hmm.
it's a part of population studies. So 2.1, mark the number, 2.1, TFR of 2.1
Mm-hmm.
represents the replacement rate. What does that mean? So if a state, or if any kind of bounded community or a bounded area uh, achieves this TFR of 2.1, which means
Mm-hmm.
21 children per 10 couples, okay,
Mm-hmm.
then their population doesn't increase or decrease, it's stable. Okay.
Okay.
So 2.1 is a very important kind of line. Okay. So if you are over 2.1, your
Mm-hmm.
population is actually increasing. If
Increase.
you're under 2.1, your
Mm-hmm.
population, if you're at 2.1, your population is stable,
Intact.
same.
Okay.
And if you're
Stable.
under 2.1, your population is decreasing. Now, one
Okay.
might ask the question, Tamil Nadu has population, has TFR of less than 2.1. West Bengal's
Mm.
TFR is less than 2.1. Um, Karnataka's population is less than 2.1. That's true for Kerala, it's less than 2.1. For Telangana, it's less than 2.1. Then how come the population of these states have actually increased? Okay.
Mm.
Because this 2.1 replacement rate, this
Mm.
assumes that there is no in migration or out migration. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, as a statistical concept. Now, of
Okay.
course, that's not true. We know that West Bengal is a net in migration state. As you know, in the recent economic survey, it came out that West Bengal is among the top three states in terms of interstate migration destination. And that is
Okay.
true for Tamil Nadu. More people come into Tamil Nadu than people who are going out. More people come into Karnataka than people who are going out. More people come into West Bengal than people who are going out. Very recently, actually, the BJP MP of Madhubani came to Asansol and actually said that thank you, West Bengal, for providing livelihood to 2 crore Biharis. Now, mind the number, okay? So so that's why our population, West Bengal's population is increasing, not because West Bengal's original residents are having a population boom, but migrants are coming in. And even with that in migration, West Bengal's TFR is 1.6. Think about it. So if you really took the TFR of West Bengal's original residents, let's say Bengalis,
Mm-hmm.
Rajbangshis, Shautals, etc., our TFR might be 1.3, 1.2, or even worse.
Or
Okay.
could be less than one.
So that's a very
Yeah.
scary scenario. Every Bengali should be scared, and because I'm a Bengali, I'm speaking for that. And Tamils are also scared. Kannadigas are also scared. Marathis are also scared about this. So that TFR concept is very important. It turns out, here's the political and sort of ethno-linguistic twist to this whole thing. All the large states that have are over 2.1 are Hindi-speaking BJP ruled states.
Okay.
Okay, almost all the states who have a TFR of less than 2.1 are
Mm.
non-Hindi speaking, mostly non-BJP ruled states. Okay,
Okay.
so there is a linguistic divide, there is a political divide. Okay, so if you now give lesser proportion of seats to non-Hindi states and greater proportion of seats to Hindi states than as it is at present, you are essentially creating what India has never been, which is an linguistic state, rashtra. India
Okay.
is not a linguistic rashtra. India is a it's a multilingual,
Legal.
multi-faith, multinational grand experiment. Okay, it's a great experiment. When you say the word Indian, it doesn't mean you are saying that, like, for example, like I am Thai. If somebody says I am Thai, or I am Nepalese, or somebody says that they are Bangladeshi, okay, or somebody says that even if somebody says that they are Chinese, or even somebody says that they're Vietnamese, it's different from saying that I'm Indian. Why? Because when they say that they are Chinese or Bangladeshi or Vietnamese or Thai or whatever, mostly, they are saying that the Chinese language, the Bengali language, the Vietnamese language, Thai language is what they speak. And there is one linguistic nationality which accounts for 90% or more of the population. So it is
Mm.
almost a homeland of a linguistic nationality. Okay. While when we say India, it means much more like the term that I'm African, or the term like I'm European, that they
Union
have
of
certain,
states.
there are various languages, various faiths, various differences, but then there are kind of interconnections and whatever. So it's that sort of a thing, except that in Africa and Africa, Europe, and India represent almost three grades of how to go about this diversity. In Africa, these are sovereign states. It is about 40, 50 odd sovereign states. In EU, the various sovereign states have given up a bit of their sovereignty for a superstructure like the EU,
You.
while
Depend.
in the India case, we are one sovereign state, একটা রাষ্ট্র, একটা সার্বভৌম রাষ্ট্র, one sovereign state. Okay, And within that, we have a federal system, okay, which means state rights are there. Okay, we believe it should be much more, which behooves such a uh, diverse union. But be that as it may, that's the thing. So, if you now think about this TFR issue and this whole issue of India's destiny is diversity. You can either have unity or you can have uniformity. You cannot have both. So when you are playing around with making the voice of non-Hindi states
Hmm.
irrelevant in terms of government making at the union level or policy making at the union level, remember S. Joyshankar, Nirmala Sitaraman, all these so-called representative southern people, Dravidian people, are not elected people. Okay, they do not represent people's sentiments or representativeness of the southern states. They don't. Okay, so if you do that, you are actually playing a very dangerous game with India's unity. You are trying to actually make India's unity very weak. You're actually it's playing with fire. It just so happens that India's statesmen of yore, okay, prime ministers of yore, understood the explosive potential of opening up this Pandora's box of doing a delimitation. Okay, so let's come to this. A delimitation was could have happened in 1976.
Hmm. Hmm.
Indira Gandhi, who was the prime minister of the union government at that point of time, she did a constitutional amendment. Not she, the government did a constitutional amendment which passed
Yeah. Hmm.
and which froze this Lok Sabha situation. 543, West Bengal 42, Tamil Nadu 39, all of these numbers for 25 years. Okay. And they said we'll revisit at that point of time. What was the hope? That in that period of time, the population growth rates and TFRs of these states will converge according to National Population Control Policy so that nobody is rewarded or punished due to this exercise. Okay. That 1976, right? So that expired in 2001. Who was in the union government 2001? The prime minister was Atal
Vajpayee.
Bihari Vajpayee. It was a NDA government. Even at that point of time, especially because that NDA government was dependent upon support from MK Stalin's party at that point of time, led by MK Karunanidhi, they also did not dare open that Pandora's box and play with India's unity or play with fire. Even they did a similar exercise and pushed delimitation for 25 more
I
years
guess.
by a constitutional amendment. So add 25
Hmm.
years to 2001, you arrive at 2026, which is why we are
Six.
talking about the impending delimitation. Now, there's another aspect to it. I talked about the linguistic divide. I talked about the political divide. Political divide also means how you imagine your future. What are your values? Okay, you know, whether you live by values of progress and future, or whether you live by values of the past and harken back to the past, whether you want a society of inclusiveness or whether you want a society of division and bickering and riots, all these kind of. So political divide, not just party question, these are also vision questions. Okay, but there's a third divide, and which many international experts are have always pointed out is the most explosive one. That is the revenue divide. It just so happens that these non-Hindi states
Hmm.
provide more than 70% of India's revenue and GDP, which means the central government or the union government runs on non-Hindi money. Okay, so let's backtrack and make it simpler. So there are two types of states in India. One, from where the amount of money center takes, okay, as tax,
Okay.
revenue, minerals, whatever resources, whatever it is, the amount it takes, let's say the value is 10 taka, 10 rupees, okay? It gives back less, gives back, let's say, 5 taka, 5 rupees, okay? Which means these states are net contributors to the center, not net receivers, okay?
Okay.
So there's another set of states, conversely, from which the amount of tax, resources, revenue, everything the center takes, but the center gives back much more in return. Let's say uh, the center takes 10 taka from Bihar, okay, but gives back 20 taka or 20 rupees.
Okay.
So which means this set of states are
Are
net
benefiting.
receivers from the center. Of course, center has no money, which means these non-Hindi states via the center are funding these
Hmm.
Hindi states, right? The center is just a mailbox, post box. So money comes from West Bengal, Tamil
Hmm.
Nadu, Karnataka to Delhi, and then Delhi says, okay, you get back less than what you gave, and okay, Bihar, UP, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, you get more than what you gave. Okay, so that's done by a system called the Finance Commission. Okay, what is important here is that what are the set of these states which uh, contribute more to the center than they go back, they
Hmm.
get back. They're the same states which are non-Hindi states. They're the same states which are mostly non-BJP ruled states. They're the same states who have controlled the population. So these classifications are actually almost the same. Not every one, not every state is like that. Okay. For example, recently, Maharashtra, for example, is a BJP ruled state, but it's a non-Hindi state, which is a net contributor. Okay. Which is probably why Maharashtra being affected by delimitation did not send its representative to the meeting called by MK Stalin. Even West Bengal did not send it.
Exactly.
We can come to it
Exactly.
later.
So
Okay,
that's yeah, yeah. We will
we'll
talk
come to
about
it
that.
later.
Yeah.
But let's finish
Hmm.
this
Hmm.
concept.
Hmm.
Uh, mm, then let's then go back. Why do we have parliaments? What's the origin of the
Hmm.
parliamentary system in the world? Okay, the origin of the parliamentary system in the world was a check on the king's unbridled power. Okay, who's the king? Who's the king of a domain? The sovereign. Okay, the sovereign is somebody who collects money, who has the ability to collect money and spend it. Spend it how? It used to be as I wish. Amar ja ichha, যেরকম ভাবে ইচ্ছা. Okay, but as societies evolved, as various interest groups saw that you cannot just leave it to just the collector of money to decide how they do it. The people who actually pay the money, they have to have a say. Was the first parliament was instituted, in fact, to vote on budget, that the king has the power to collect money, but how he spends it, he has to get it ratified from the representatives of the people who have contributed that money. That I am paying a tax, and everybody pays tax, by the way, some income tax.
How the
Uh,
money will be
uh,
invested? Yeah.
yeah, the thing, everything, GST.
Hmm.
This headphone. If somebody has a headphone, they have paid a tax. Okay, everybody is a taxpayer. Okay, so early on in England, this used to be the barons who would be the
Hmm.
House of Lords, okay, and who would then say yes or no. And then with greater democratization, this became the House of Commons, where common people with a certain, let's say, property or education, they could vote, they could sit in the parliament. And then it became universal adult franchise. The population could then do this. So
Hmm.
the idea of parliamentary democracy also hinges upon who gets to decide on how money is spent, which is collected by the sovereign. Okay. In fact, if you look at the American Revolution, the whole issue, see, America was founded by British people who went from Britain to America and founded colonies. So they were ethnically the same, they linguistically they were the same. They considered the British sovereign as their sovereign. So what was the problem? Why did they want to break away? Or why did
mm,
Britain force them to break away? Because Britain started taxing the American colonies without the American colonies having a representation in the House of Commons, okay, in the
so
Parliament.
it's interesting thing is that so you are comparing it with the current
No, no,
condition
no.
of the Indian
I'm not.
states.
I'm not comparing it. I'll
Okay,
tell you why.
okay, but you are
I'm not
indicating.
comparing
Okay,
it.
okay,
I'm
okay,
just giving you an idea of how parliaments happened, and this thing, this
okay,
phenomena was called no taxation without representation. Okay. Now that's an extreme
okay.
scenario. That's an extreme scenario. No taxation. The taxation is happening, but there is no representation. But with delimitation and the fact that the non-Hindi states
Mm,
have contributed way more and are still contributing way more than their population proportion, or for that matter, their present parliamentary proportion. What does that translate into? Lesser representation, greater taxation,
mm,
greater contribution to tax. Okay, so that's only a degree. So no representation, but contributing to tax. That's an extreme. But when no becomes less, it's not that there is no representation, there is representation, but there is less representation compared to the amount of taxes they are contributing. As you can understand, that's a very slippery slope to go down. That's what makes this very explosive. Okay. In the Finance Commission, for example, delimitation, if you will, has already happened. Finance Commission apportions this money, the center kind of collects and distributes across states according to a formula. Okay. Now, this formula has various parameters. Okay. For example, population is a parameter. Number two, the ioton or the area of a state is a
mm,
parameter. How far they are from India's average is a parameter. Okay. You know what is not a parameter? How much the state has contributed. That is not a parameter. Okay. Because that parameter is the most crucial parameter,
mm,
because otherwise you could not have devised a finance commission system with all
mm,
this formula. But the result of this formula is that you will basically end up giving non-Hindi state tax revenue resources to non-Hindi states via the
mm.
center. Okay.
Okay.
What are the list of non-Hindi states which give more to the center than they receive from the center? West Bengal, 100 rupees it gives, it receives about 90. For Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, these ratios, this is even worse. Bihar, it gives 100 rupees to the center, it receives 314 rupees in return. Okay. UP, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, all of that is like that. Okay. So that's another divide. Finance Commission is already using 2011 numbers, not 1971 numbers,
Numbers. Mm-hmm.
to assess
Okay,
this
okay.
population, which has really affected these revenue producing states like West Bengal, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, etc.
Okay.
We have lost this control over our revenue. Now we will lose control over our political destiny, and we will essentially two, three states. If a party sweeps, let's say a party sweeps,
Mm,
let's say a party works on a very pro-Hindi kind of plank and sweeps Bihar, UP, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Haryana, Chhattisgarh, etc. Okay, and let's say Gujarat, they also have. Okay, then they basically form the government. So you do not have an inclusive government, not a representative government as it should be of a multinational, multilinguistic, multicultural, multi-faith, multi-system super state like the Indian Union, but you have two, three states, populous, non revenue rich, but at the same time, high population growth, uh, they determining the destiny of all the people, especially non-Hindi people, because they will not have any say. So if we summarize it, it will be certain states will produce babies and certain states will produce revenue, and the states which produce babies will rule the states which produce the revenue.
Yes,
Now,
revenue.
that is a very dangerous cocktail for the unity of India. And because I, as a Bengali, I, as General Secretary of Bangla Pokkho, stand for the unity and integrity of India, because Bengalis contributed their blood and sweat for the freedom of India. Any tinkering or any kind of funny, any play with the unity of India is not acceptable to us. We stand for the unity of India, and hence we oppose delimitation, because we are stakeholders of this union. We are not uh, proja. We are not second class citizens. We do not
Mm.
want to become second class citizens in our own land.
Okay, okay. So now I will talk about another issue which we raised earlier a bit ago, that why the TMC is not actively protesting against the delimitation. We saw that DMK is doing actively protesting against it. We saw that Kanimoji Karunanidhi in parliament. We saw their spokespersons. Even when we are seeing watching news, we are watching his face, NK Stalin's face in this delimitation, but we are not seeing the fiery speeches by the TMC spokespersons or the TMC supremo. Why this is happening?
The why question is very hard to answer, okay, because only Trinamool people will know it. What we know is that West Bengal will be one of the badly affected states due to delimitation. So it is very important that the ruling party of West Bengal opposes delimitation tooth and nail. I, as General Secretary of Bangla Pokkho, a national organization of Bengalis in India, with its greatest presence in West Bengal, we condemn the fact that Trinamool party or the Chief Minister of West Bengal or one of her representatives, senior representatives, were not sent to this historic meeting convened by Thiru M.K. Stalin, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu and the Supremo of the DMK. It was a historic meeting. It has been reported in The Economist. It has been reported in the New York Times. I mean, you have to understand that the destiny of nearly one fourth of humanity is at stake here. This is not a simple thing that is going on, by the way. Okay, it's an event of world historic proportions. The fact that one of the worst, one of the states, one of the people, state Bengal, people, Bengali, who will be affected by this dangerous move by the BJP, the fact that none of our representatives were there, it was heartbreaking for us. It was heartbreaking. And my understanding is, if you now, since I do not know what the internal whatever things about uh, delimitation is, the stance of Trinamool is, or for that matter, even West Bengal CPM. Mr. Mohammad Salim was also called, but he also declined, said, I have preoccupation. You can, মানে, be it Mamata
Pinarayi
Banerjee ji,
Vijayan had joined. Yeah,
huh? Pinarayi Vijayan
Pinarayi
joined
Vijayan.
for Kerala, not for a party. We're talking
Okay,
about
okay,
West Bengal
okay,
here.
okay,
It was not a party
okay,
meeting.
okay, okay.
If you really look at it, Telangana had the ruling party and the opposition party both coming together. Revant Reddy
Okay.
was there,
Hmm.
and KCR's
KT
son, he was also there. So this is an
Mm-hmm.
issue that is not about a party. It's an issue which is about a state, about about ethnicities, about identities, about our whole destiny. Okay. So the ruling party did not attend. Okay. Why Mamata Banerjee did not attend? One thing is that she had a UK visit, okay, which was true. She has a good alibi, okay, let's say. Then a senior member could have been sent, okay. For example, who's the most prominent second face after Mamata Banerjee, Diamond Harbour MP Abhishek Banerjee, who's also the general secretary of the Trinamool party. He could have gone. Or, for example, the leader of the Trinamool party in the Lok Sabha could have gone, okay, or the Rajya Sabha could have gone. That would have given that, yes, we are there. Even that representation wasn't there, okay. So that's very unfortunate, very unfortunate. However, let me also fill you in, because it is not as if the Trinamool Supremo does not understand the issue of delimitation. How do I know
You
this?
asked her a question.
Because
Yeah, you
because I
asked her.
asked a question to her directly on this delimitation issue just a few months earlier, and her answer, to read between the lines, of course, she did not give a direct answer even then. So it may also be that she wants to see how things mature and where everybody stands, etc. But the first reaction she had was that when I was describing this delimitation issue to frame the question, she also chipped in saying that, yes, that's why they are building the 1,000-seat parliament. That statement from her tells you she understands it every bit. Okay. This is a three-time chief minister, multiple times union cabinet minister, 7+ times MP speaking. Okay, so let's not let's not think, oh, বুঝতে পারেনি. It's nothing like that. Okay, and I believe that the Trinamool party wants to, when it really has to decide yes or no, it might come up with it, but that's party politics. I, as a person of West Bengal, would have wanted to see uh, that uh, upfront. Another question could be, and that's also political, but then that doesn't serve. You are looking for explanations, which we can only,
Mhm.
guess. We cannot really tell. Uh, After the consecutive defeats of Congress-led, let's say, alliances in certain Vidhan Sabha seats, who will lead the opposition? That issue has again slightly opened up. Okay, and I think next year, after very crucial Vidhan Sabha elections, West Bengal, uh, which I've seen major opinion polls which says that Trinamool will return with you know comfortable numbers. Of course, only the voters will decide. But as of now, whatever opinion polls are, I think that there might be a renewed push, as you might
Mhm.
have seen earlier, of projecting mm, Srimati Mamata Banerjee again as an alternative pole. And if that kind of image has to be created, then
Mhm.
that political formation calls others. They don't go to this who comes to whom, whether you go to someone or somebody comes to you. These
You.
things, these signaling values, the gesture values, have a lot of meaning in politics. Okay, but this issue is over politics. That's the whole thing. We might speak like political commentators, but this is not politics. This is a question of survival. Okay, so through this channel, I would like to tell all our friends in Tamil Nadu, in Karnataka, in Kerala, in Telangana, Andhra Pradesh. So sad, the case of Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh is one of the worst affected states, by the way, through delimitation. And Chandrababu Naidu did not attend. He was sent an invitation. But I still believe that Chandrababu Naidu will try to stop delimitation by using his heft as part of the NDA government at the union level. But it didn't turn up, and significantly, it's not a South issue. Bhagwant Mann, who is the chief minister of Punjab, he attended.
Punjab.
Uh, Odisha is east; it's not south. Okay, it's
Naveen
not
Patnaik.
north. But
Naveen
Naveen
Patnaik.
Patnaik,
Yeah.
he sent a message, which is a message from the highest level. But from West Bengal, there's no message, no representation. So, through this, what I want to say, what I want to assure uh, all the people of these states who will be affected by delimitation, that I, as General Secretary of Bangla Pokkho, do assure that West Bengal will stand against delimitation when it comes, and Bangla Pokkho, our organization, has started street level campaigning for making people know this issue. As you might have realized, not you in person, but people who are we are listening together, is that this is not an issue which can be explained in like 2 minutes. It's much more complicated. And that is the advantage that the BJP is taking by Amit Shah saying no seats will decrease, no number of seats will decrease, pro rata, all this BS is coming out because they are betting on the fact that most people will not understand this mambo jumbo. Let us be very clear. If our proportion goes down, we will oppose it. Okay. Now, keeping our proportion same, whatever you want to do, you do. We don't care. Our proportion, West Bengal's proportion in the Lok Sabha cannot go down. Tamil Nadu's proportion in the Lok Sabha cannot go down, etc. And also think about it, say Trinamool, let's say CPM. Mohammed Salim had some pre-engagement. He was also called. He did not go. Pinarayi Vijayan, he went, okay, and very important speeches were made. Pinarayi Vijayan played a great role. Mohammed Salim, if he had gone, at least I could have saved my face and said, okay, somebody from West Bengal is there. Now, he had a pre-engagement. What importance pre-engagement could he have had? I do not know. I'm not condemning anyone.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it's
Okay.
pretty sad, and it also sadly reflects the state of media in West Bengal. Let me be very clear. These are mostly owned by folks who are either members or MPs or ex-MPs of the BJP, or they have funded the BJP through electoral bonds. Okay, that's the bulk of the media, or have been exposed of taking bribes for making pro-BJP statements in the famous Cobra Post sting, which happened a few years ago. Every student of journalism should see that sting. But the point is that there is no discussion on delimitation in West Bengal media, mainstream media, in TV channels. If you go through TV channels, there's nothing. Okay. However, in certain YouTube channels, certain things, mostly pushed by Bangla Pokkho, are coming up. But if you now look at channels in Karnataka, channels in Tamil Nadu, channels in Kerala, channels in Telangana, not only channels, not only YouTube channels, celebrities, YouTubers, they are doing shows with lakhs of views because that's public literacy. I must say that the media in West Bengal, the mainstream media in channels, and the political parties in West Bengal, I'm leaving out the BJP because the enemies of West Bengal, because they want to impose delimitation. They're a Hindi imperialist party, so we're taking that out of the equation. But these parties and these channels are doing a great disservice to the people of West Bengal by not doing this public education. Doesn't matter. We in Bangla Pokkho will do as much as we can.
Okay. Okay. So we will leave it there. But the point is that what are the solutions? Is there any solution? Like Shashi
So
Tharoor gave a solution of the Rajya Sabha seat limit, of giving equal Rajya Sabha seats to each and every
yeah,
constituency. So to tell us a
yeah,
bit about that. What are the
right, right.
solutions? Yeah.
I'll break down the various solutions. I'll
Yeah.
also say why Shashi Tharoor is wrong. That's not a solution. Okay, and why that's not a solution. Uh, and people need to understand. So, what is number one solution? Okay, number one solution is the solution given by Indira Gandhi and Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Just don't do it. That's number one solution.
Okay.
Okay, don't do it. And rather than revisiting this every 25 years and having this huge bad blood between Hindi and non-Hindi people, which also weakens our unity, okay, just put a permanent freeze. 42 upon 543, okay, that's what it's going to be, okay, till the end of time. Unless, when the earth becomes, nova, supernova, red giant, black hole, till that time, let's have this, okay. Before the word delimitation came into public understanding just from a few months ago, did anybody care? Was anybody demanding? So it's suddenly being popped up, right? That's number one. So the best solution is freeze, don't do anything about it, make a constitutional amendment, and if BJP says that there will be a constitutional amendment permanently freezing it, every opposition party will support it. Which was the case, by the way, in Indira Gandhi's time. Which was the case, by the way, in Atal Bihari Vajpayee's time. Indira Gandhi made the constitutional amendment. It's not as if the opposition parties were against it, they supported it. When Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government, NDA government, did the constitutional amendment, all the parties supported it because that's for national unity. Okay? That's one. Let's say BJP wants to play a very dangerous game and play with and says, no, we must have this. And there's a certain logic of, I'll tell you why. For example, if I was a person from UP, let's say, as I said in the first, I'm a Bengali from West Bengal, and that determines my perspective. But let's say I'm a Hindi speaker from UP or Bihar. What would I look at? How I might look at this issue? Okay, I will not then go into the population growth question directly, but what I would say is, let's say in the early 70s, you had every seat with equal number of people. And let's say number of people means the number of voters also. It's a proportion of that. So when this divergence has happened, these hours, this UP Bihar, let's say, has population explosion has happened, other people have not happened. Then the number of people in each Lok Sabha seat in UP has grown much bigger. While the number of people in a Lok Sabha seat in Kerala or West Bengal is much smaller. What does that mean? It means that we have one person, one vote, but every vote does not have the same value in the same every state. Okay.
True.
So, for example, if let's say initially there were 10 people in every constituency in the initial delimitation 70s we are talking about. Okay. So now let's say that population in a West Bengal seat has become 20. And in a UP seat has become 40, which is roughly how these things, more than double. So then the value of a single vote in that West Bengal seat is 1 upon 20. It used to be 1 upon 10, now it is 1 upon 20. But for the UP person or the Bihar person, it used to be 1 upon 10. We started, remember, from the same starting point.
Same.
But then now it's 1 upon 40 or 1 upon 50 even. Okay. So that is deemed unfair. Okay. Now to address, so again, so how do you solve it, as was your question? One way to do this, if you look at all union policies or union programs or schemes or whatever it is, at the end of the day, who's going to implement it? It's the state government who's going to implement it. Be it the rural employment guarantee scheme, okay? Be it whatever. Just think about anything, okay? The government on the ground is the state government. Okay, the real government. When we say Sharkar kiju korche na, if you're sitting somewhere, government is not doing anything, typically what you mean is the state government. Okay. So why not increase the number of assembly seats in these Hindi speaking states? Okay. So that in the real implementation of these issues, you have the much lesser, because remember, the number of Lok Sabha, Vidhan Sabha seats you can have is also fixed by the government, fixed by the constitution that way. Okay. So loosen that, make that loose, so that right now UP has, I think, 402 odd Vidhan Sabha seats. Make that 800. Okay. So that irrespective of that union policy in terms of real implementation, okay, so that you do not have a disproportionate voice, an unfair voice in determining policy, but you have a much better representative mode in terms of policy delivery, okay, which is the last mile issue. That's one solution. Another, there can be various other solutions. There's another solution is, and which so one solution, of course, no delimitation. Now, this is no delimitation, increase the Vidhan Sabha seats according to whatever population growth. Even West Bengal should have more Vidhan Sabha seats for that matter. Okay, because West Bengal's population has grown. Okay, UP's population has grown much more in proportion. That's a different issue, as we have said. Okay, whatever. Do the delimitation in terms of the number of Vidhan Sabha seats. Increase that according to the population that has increased since the 70s. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Don't do Lok Sabha delimitation. Number three, if you really do Lok Sabha delimitation, then to have us non-Hindi states, the greater contributors of to union revenue and tax and resources and every other way on board, so
mm,
that this doesn't become an issue that divides us. What can be done? What is our apprehension? What is our apprehension? Our apprehension is that we will be ruled by policies in which we do not have a say. Okay, that's the major issue.
okay,
That's the crux of the delimitation issue. Okay, how do you solve it? Decrease the number of things that the union government has say in. Union government at this point of time has a list of subjects it controls, which is huge, and it doesn't need to be like that. Okay, for example, union government sets up aims. If you could see, is the government's job? Is it the union government's job to set up hospitals? It's not. Okay, state governments do it. This is job duplication. What should the union? So it's a greater discussion on then what should the union government's role be in a federal system, in a multilinguistic federation like ours. Well, there's a couple of pointers, right? What should the union government have in its control? It should have those things in its control in which force combination actually makes sense. Let me give you an example.
okay,
External defense. If China attacks, it's not as if UP is going to resist it separately or Sikkim is going to resist it separately. It makes sense to have an Indian army for all of us and the union government to be in its charge.
mm-hmm.
So, external defense as a union subject makes sense. It's logical. Take the issue of external affairs. Okay, how do we deal with Pakistan or Bangladesh or Nepal? Now, it cannot be that UP deals with a certain way with Nepal, West Bengal deals with a certain way with Nepal, okay, Tamil Nadu deals in a certain way with Nepal. That's absurd. Okay, and because also external affairs involves also negotiation, our whole coming together also increases our bargain. Okay, so there, it being in the hands of the union government is logical. It makes sense. Okay.
Okay,
Again, let me take another example, which is a positive example. Let's say currency, the coins and notes that we use. I call it taka, and a Bihari call it rupiah. When I write the word, I write to, the Bangla letter, toya card, let's say. And recently, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister in its budget document used the corresponding letter in Tamil, and the union government, Hindi people can use their rupiah, then ru or raw, whatever that is. Okay, they can do that. That doesn't matter, but the substance is the same, right? Doesn't matter
mm-hmm.
what symbol you use for it, right? So, see, that's also what the EU does, right? So it's a common market. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to change money if I step into Orissa. A Tamil doesn't want to change money if they step into Karnataka. So for this market, the fact that we can, oh shit, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the fact that we can, we have this market, which means that currency should be in union government's hands. You can't have
Okay,
West Bengal currency notes and Tamil Nadu currency notes and Bihar currency notes and coins or whatever, right? That makes sense. But telecommunication, You are auctioning like West Bengal circle, but West Bengal government has no say in it. It doesn't own it. Why is that so? If that were the telecommunication spectrum, etc., were under the purview of the state governments, then so many smaller players in terms of
Would
connectivity,
emerge.
mobile
Yeah.
telephony, data providers could have come up, right? Because these auctions are done in bunches, okay, or for that matter, minerals. Why does the
Okay.
union own the oil in the Ashoknagar in West Bengal, or the coal in Raniganj, for example? It's under our whatever. In America, municipalities, municipalities, not even states, municipalities run international airports.
Oh my
What's
goodness.
the point of airports being run by the union government? Okay, these are very
Even
outdated concepts.
you mentioned this story of your taxation when you were studying abroad. You used to pay
Yes, I'll
tax
also come to
to
that.
states.
I'll
Yeah.
also come to that. Or for example, we now have private ports, right?
Mm.
For example, Adani has many ports, etc. We know it. So private people can run ports. Union government can run ports, but state government cannot run ports. Why is that? Why is port under them? Navy should be under the union government. That's external defense. We understand that. But why should ports be? You see, so to get to, if you need to have delimitation and UP Bihar will determine union policy, then the number of things that they can determine should really be lessened, should really be decreased. And all these other subjects, including the residual list subjects, should be transferred to the states. In
Okay.
fact, beyond the three that I mentioned, which is external defense, external affairs, and currency, I do not see any other thing that should be in the hand of the union government. And by the way, that was the cabinet mission plan for Indian unity in 1946, to which
Okay.
all parties agreed. Okay? Because that keeps unity. That is, that I control whatever is inside, and we come
Mm.
together for greater things, for greater common good. But if you take my goods and use it for somebody's good, that's not greater common good. That's my bad and his good. Okay, so
Okay. Okay.
that's the problem. So that's one solution. Let me now come to why Shashi Tharoor's solution is not a real solution. He's talking about a
Okay.
US
Mm.
model, and since you mentioned, remember in the U. See, whenever we are saying transferring departments, transferring subjects to the state government, you also have to transfer revenue sources to the state government. You cannot give me all the responsibility, but the finances are controlled by Delhi, and then say, now run it. That doesn't make sense. For example, in USA, where I studied, in the state of Massachusetts, okay, and in every state, there's a state uh, income tax and there's a federal income tax. Okay, and also, if you really think about it, states have flags, and that's not a issue. That's not a threat to any unity of the United States. That actually makes it much more collegial. Okay, or for that matter, who owns minerals? States own the minerals. So the US is a great model in terms of which departments or which subjects or which things should be with the states, which affairs should be with the center. Think about Trump, who's the federal president, right? What do you hear when you hear about Trump, about anything? What do you hear about? He's talking about illegal immigrants. He's talking about Iran. He's talking about Ukraine. Okay, so what is he talking about? He's
Greenland.
talking about external affairs, external defense.
Mm.
People who are coming in, citizenship, etc. Think about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, right? And there's only $1. There's no Californian dollar and there's no Massachusetts dollar. There's only $1. Also, there has to be a concept of state citizenship and federal citizenship. For example, if you want to be a citizen of Switzerland, let's say as an immigrant, you want to be a citizen of Switzerland, you first of you will get a Swiss federal citizenship, but then their units, constituent
Mhm.
units, are called cantons. You also have to
Okay.
have some canton accept you, right?
Okay.
So the fact that now, due to migration and various issues of migration for certain Hindi speaking states, non Hindi speaking states, and that's creating a kind of identity crisis and loss in the percentage of the native people, sons of the soil. These are huge issues. So, which means that it's also time when we are having this debate, because these are all related issues, that we should have a fixed state citizen list, okay, which cannot be altered. For example, we
Mhm.
already have it, by the way. In Sikkim, we have it. We have inner line permit. Many people say anybody can walk to any place in India and work there. No, that's not true according to the constitution. You cannot just walk into Manipur. You cannot just walk into Arunachal Pradesh. You cannot just walk into Mizoram. You cannot just walk into Nagaland. You cannot just walk into Meghalaya. And they are integral parts of India. They are not lesser parts of India. You cannot buy, uh, for example, a Bengali cannot buy, of West Bengal cannot buy land in Sikkim. Sikkimis from Sikkim can buy land in West Bengal. So these discrepancies have to be then also,
Mhm.
so that state identity is there, and we have a Indian identity, and they are not in conflict. They should not be in conflict. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Lastly, let me come to why Shashi Tharoor's plan is wrong. Again, coming to so he got this idea from the US, where you
Mhm.
have uh, this population determining the seats in the Congress, which is one house. They have a
Mhm.
bicameral kind of legislature, the
Legislation.
Congress and the Senate. Okay, so the Congress there, California seat, if its population goes up, then its number of proportion goes up. Somebody whose population is going down, then it goes down there. So there it varies. Okay, they have regular delimitation, if you will. Okay, but the number of seats in the Senate, every state has two members. Okay,
Okay.
every state has two members, which means California, which is huge, and
Mhm.
Delaware, which is tiny. Okay, they have the same number of representatives. So
Okay.
how does that work then? The way it works is that uh, the the Senate,
Upper house. Yeah.
the upper
The
house,
upper house. Hmm.
it the bills also have to pass there. Right now, in the Indian system, you can bypass the Rajya Sabha using money bills, this, that. There are various ways in which Lok Sabha is the Sabha. Okay, the Rajya Sabha is a debating society of sorts, unless it
Mhm.
comes to certain constitutional amendments. But in the US, every bill has to pass both houses. Okay, it's not good enough for
Okay.
one. But even then, Shashi Tharoor's plan, let's say UP has two seats, and Goa
Mhm.
has two seats, and West Bengal has two seats or one seat,
Mhm.
whatever it is, whatever the number is, and you make a Rajya Sabha out of that. Okay, that is not the same as the U. It will not be the same as the US. Why? Because the US is a indivisible union of indivisible states. So the
Mhm.
states, New York, you cannot break New York.
Mhm.
Washington D.C. president, federal government cannot say, okay, New York, we suddenly want to make Western New York and Eastern New York. No, that's not possible. It's only New Yorkers can decide. Only New York can decide whether it wants to make a
Separation.
break it into two,
Hmm.
three, five, whatever, right? So it's an indivisible union. Of course, nobody can break the USA of indivisible states.
States.
But India is an indivisible union. Okay, that part is the same, of divisible states. Delhi can today decide, I want to break UP into five. So then they can just cook up numbers.
Okay.
In the Rajya Sabha, if they can cook up states, make any
Hmm.
state they want, then they can make. So I am two, 3 votes short. Let's make two states. Okay.
Okay.
and then this whole plan falls through. So if the Rajya Sabha route of making the
Hmm.
Rajya Sabha as important as the Lok Sabha at par, and that everything has to pass there, if that has to happen,
Hmm.
then at first the ability of the union government to unilaterally break a state or fuse a state or make a state into a union territory, all this has to go. All
Okay.
this has to go. So as you could understand, I'm glad that we're having a very rich kind of conversation, but all of
Because
these
it's, yeah.
aspects and facets that came out through this discussion are important for all Indian citizens to understand. It's also important for Hindi state people to understand that we non-Hindi people are not your enemies. We do not want to trample on your rights. We just want our rights intact.
Okay, thanks a lot for giving us an insightful view on this issue, from breaking down the delimitation, what is delimitation, to giving us these solutions, and also giving us why some solutions are not going to work. Thanks a lot, Garga Chatterjee, for joining us. We appreciate your joining us.
Thank you.